Canada's story is one of vast landscapes, resilient peoples, cultural encounters, struggles for survival, and the gradual building of a nation, stretching from the icy northern tundra to the fertile plains, from Atlantic fishing villages to Pacific coastal mountains, a land whose history begins long before the arrival of Europeans. For thousands of years, indigenous peoples thrived here. First Nations, Inuit, and métis communities developed complex societies, languages, traditions, and systems of governance. They hunted, fished, farmed, and traded, adapting to every climate and terrain. The Haudenosaunee built powerful confederacies. The Cree roamed vast plains. The Inuit mastered survival in the Arctic, while the Coast Salish, Mi'kmaq, Blackfoot, and countless others developed rich cultures. And when Norse explorers like Leif Erikson briefly reached Newfoundland around the year 1000, they encountered lands already inhabited. But true waves of contact came centuries later, in the 16th century, when European explorers driven by trade, empire, and faith set sail across the Atlantic. John Cabot landed on the eastern shores, claiming them for England. Jacques Cartier sailed up the mighty St. Lawrence River, planting French flags and opening the door to colonization. Soon after, French settlements like Quebec and Montreal emerged, under leaders like Samuel de Champlain, while fur traders pushed inland, exchanging metal tools, guns, and textiles for beaver pelts, creating both cooperation and conflict with indigenous nations. Alliances were formed, particularly between the French and Huron-Wendat, while the Iroquois Confederacy often sided with the English. These rivalries shaped centuries of conflict, including the Beaver Wars, as Europe's empires expanded their ambitions. The land of Canada became a battleground for supremacy. By the 18th century, Britain and France fought for dominance in the 7 Years' War, culminating in the pivotal Battle of the Plains of Abraham in 1759, where General Wolfe's British forces defeated Montcalm's French army outside Quebec City, changing the destiny of the continent. By the Treaty of Paris in 1763, France ceded most of its North American possessions to Britain, leaving behind a French-speaking population under British rule. This laid the foundation for Canada's dual identity, French and English, Catholic and Protestant, a delicate balance that would echo through centuries. Meanwhile, indigenous peoples faced devastating consequences: disease, displacement, and loss of lands, yet their resilience ensured survival. As the British colonies grew, the American Revolution erupted to the south, and many loyalists fled north, settling in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, and Ontario, shaping Canada's demographic landscape. The early 19th century saw Canada defend itself against American invasions during the War of 1812, where figures like Tecumseh, a Shawnee leader, allied with the British, his vision of indigenous unity cut short, but his legacy enduring. After the war, waves of immigrants from Britain, Ireland, and later from across Europe began to arrive, carving farms, building towns, and fueling industry. Yet tensions brewed between English and French, between reformers and conservatives, leading to the rebellions of 1837 and 1838 in Upper and Lower Canada, crushed by the British but sparking demands for responsible government. Reformers like Louis Hippolyte Lafontaine and Robert Baldwin laid the groundwork for democratic institutions. By the mid-19th century, railway tracks cut across the land, the Grand Trunk, and later the Canadian Pacific linking distant regions. Confederation came in 1867, when Ontario, Quebec, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia joined together under the British North America Act, forming the Dominion of Canada, with Sir John A. Macdonald as the first Prime Minister, a vision of unity stretching from sea to sea. Soon Manitoba, British Columbia, and Prince Edward Island joined. The vast western prairies opened to settlement. Indigenous peoples were forced into treaties and onto reserves. The métis under Louis Riel resisted, first in the Red River Rebellion of 1869-70, then again in the Northwest Rebellion of 1885, where Riel was captured and executed, deepening divisions between French and English Canada. Railroads drove expansion. The last spike hammered in 1885, binding the nation physically. But conflicts with indigenous peoples, starvation, and cultural suppression through residential schools left scars still felt today. The late 19th and early 20th centuries saw waves of immigrants, Ukrainians, Poles, Chinese laborers, Italians, and many more, enriching Canada's cultural mosaic but also facing prejudice and hardship. During World War I, Canada, as part of the British Empire, sent hundreds of thousands overseas, enduring horrific losses at battles like Vimy Ridge in 1917, where Canadian troops earned international recognition, forging a sense of national identity. Yet the war also brought conscription crises, especially in Quebec. Sowing divisions, the interwar years brought prosperity and hardship waves of strikes. The Winnipeg General Strike of 1919, symbolizing workers' struggles. The Great Depression, plunging millions into poverty, yet also sparking reforms when World War II erupted. Canada again answered the call, mobilizing industry, soldiers, and society. D-Day landings in Normandy saw Canadian troops storm Juno Beach, while at home, Japanese Canadians faced internment, a dark chapter later acknowledged. After 1945, Canada emerged more independent on the world stage, joining NATO, the UN, and playing key roles in peacekeeping under Lester B. Pearson, who later won the Nobel Peace Prize, waves of immigrants from Asia, Africa, and the Caribbean transformed Canada's cities. Policies of multiculturalism under Pierre Trudeau celebrated diversity. The Quiet Revolution in Quebec reshaped society, challenging federalism, with separatist movements pushing for independence, leading to 2 referendums, yet Canada remained united. Indigenous voices grew louder, demanding recognition of rights, land, and justice. The Constitution was patriated in 1982, with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms enshrining liberties, yet struggles over reconciliation, resource development, and autonomy continue. In recent decades, Canada has faced challenges of globalization, climate change, immigration, and identity, yet also celebrated achievements. From technological innovation to cultural contributions, from hosting the Olympics to peace missions abroad, today Canada stands as a federation of 10 provinces and 3 territories, bilingual, multicultural, grappling with its past yet striving toward inclusivity and reconciliation. A country of breathtaking landscapes, vast forests, mighty rivers, prairies, and Arctic tundra. But above all, a country built by its peoples, indigenous and immigrant, French and English, old and new, bound by a shared pursuit of peace, democracy, and fairness. The history of Canada is not merely a story of wars and politics, but of resilience, adaptation, and hope. A reminder that nations are not static, but ever evolving, shaped by memory, conflict, and dreams. And so Canada's journey continues, with every generation adding its own chapter, seeking to balance unity with diversity, growth with sustainability, remembrance with progress, and in that ongoing story lies the true spirit of Canada, a nation still being written, still being imagined, still being lived, from sea to sea to sea.